Imagine this: a 23-year-old first-year teacher beginning her career at a small high school. Within weeks, two senior boys secretly take pictures of her at school. After school, they post them on their Snapchat with explicit, sexually suggestive captions. By the next morning, screenshots of the boys' posts had spread throughout the school. Students are whispering about the posts in the hallways and discussing it during class. The teacher feels humiliated and reports the incident to administration. The principal investigates the situation, but then faces a very difficult decision. Because the posts were made outside of school and on the boys' personal social media accounts, can the school legally discipline the students? Perhaps more importantly, should it? Freedom of speech, protected by the First Amendment, is meant to defend unpopular speech, and although it is not unlimited, courts have recognized narrow exceptions for speech involving true threats, defamation, and, in school, speech that causes substantial disruption to the learning environment. Since students are entitled to their constitutional rights, their freedom of speech must be upheld in educational settings. The United States Supreme Court first recognized students' right to free speech in West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett. This landmark case took place in 1943, when the court ruled that public school students could not be forced to salute the flag or recite the Pledge of Allegiance, holding that schools cannot compel students to express beliefs they do not hold, and thereby protecting their First Amendment rights. While students are afforded their freedom of speech at school, this right is not unlimited. Students who are making true threats toward another person or engaging in speech that causes or can reasonably be expected to cause substantial disruption to the educational environment are not considered protected speech. The type of school a student attends also influences the constitutional protections that apply to them. Because public schools are government agencies, they are bound by the United States Constitution. Charter schools are generally considered public schools, although they have more flexibility than traditional public schools. Private schools, however, are not government entities and can enforce their own policies regarding student speech. Public virtual schools are also subject to the Constitution, while virtual private schools can, again, establish their own policies. Regardless of the type of school, the rapid growth of social media, in many ways, has blurred the lines between students' lives outside and inside school. This has created legal and ethical challenges for educational leaders. One of the most challenging legal issues that educational leaders face today is determining how much authority schools have over students' online speech, especially when it occurs outside the school. As we know, the First Amendment protects unpopular, offensive, and sometimes even insulting speech. Students do not lose these rights just because adults might not like what they say. Although this freedom is not unlimited, as mentioned before, schools often do not win cases when they try to filter speech. Schools have even less authority over speech that happens off campus and online. If schools punish students too broadly for their speech online or outside of school, it can be argued that they are trying to suppress or censor students' free expression. This was found to be true in Mahanoy Area School District versus BL. In this case, a freshman cheerleader at Mahanoy Area High School in Pennsylvania posted a vulgar message on Snapchat after failing to make the varsity cheerleading team and being suspended from the junior varsity team the following school year. In 2021, the Supreme Court ruled that in the students' favor, stating that the suspension violated their First Amendment rights, likely because their message was not directly threatening and did not disrupt a learning environment. The court also said that schools generally have less authority over off-campus speech because parents usually supervise students outside of school. While we are in unprecedented times regarding student speech online, and although it is a challenge for students to exercise authority over it, many schools and school leaders still care about online speech. One major concern is that online posts spread instantly. A single post can reach hundreds of students overnight. This can be a positive thing when it promotes positive expression, but there are also many negative consequences. Teachers can become targets for students, and students may experience social media conflicts, potentially can spill into the classroom the next day. In the scenario I shared with you earlier, for example, The Snapchat post of the first year teacher was made off campus, but by the next morning, it had become the focus of conversation throughout the school. Even if legal authority over online speech is limited, schools still have an ethical duty to protect employees, safeguard students, and maintain a safe learning environment. As a future educational leader, I believe that every decision regarding student speech must start with the Constitution rather than personal opinions. While it can be frustrating when students use social media to criticize or insult teachers and other students, educational leaders cannot punish students simply because their speech is offensive. Public schools have a legal responsibility to uphold students' First Amendment rights. At the same time, I believe leaders have an equally important ethical responsibility to provide a safe and respectful learning environment for both students and staff. Even if speech is constitutionally protected, leaders should not ignore behaviors. Instead, educational leaders can respond in lawful and productive ways, such as supporting affected students and staff, promoting digital citizenship among students, and partnering with families to educate students about appropriate online behavior. Students should understand that they do have a right to express themselves, but they also have responsibility to consider how their words affect others.